So X, go back to that 17 and 18-year-old kid, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of our guys are getting recruited, right? They're going
Yeah.
through this process. Some of them are freshmen, some of them are going into their senior year, right?
Right.
If you could do it over again, right? Like, how do you get recruited? How do you stay in front of coaches? Like for us back in our day, it was, you did it all on the field. There wasn't social media. We weren't making calls. We weren't sending emails. It was, we were getting recruited on the field. Now we'd sit back and wait for coaches to come, right? Like, what tips do you have for these guys as far as like how to get recruited, how to get exposure, how to get in front of these coaches, and really how to promote, brand, and market yourself, right?
Right. First thing I would say, I'm starting with the social media stuff. Is my dad has always harped on me that social media is your brand. That's you. That's who you're. It could be not even who you are, but perception is reality. And if you're showing negative things, right, you don't have to post all the goody stuff. If you're in a suit, do this, you could be genuine, but keep that clean. You know what I mean? Because people are going to look at that. I know kids probably hear that all the time. They're going to look at the social media. They do. They will. That kind of gives them the only type of understanding or into what you may be like without really knowing you. As fair as not as it is, that's just how it is in this world. So I would keep that social media clean. It is difficult for me. Long Island, it does not get a lot of love football wise. The talent is not strong. I think I led New York State in rushing yards and touchdowns. I think I had 55 something touchdowns just my senior year alone, and I barely got any love. You know what I mean? Because I was playing for a small high school in Long Island. That's just how it was. So, I mean, I could speak really highly on lacrosse recruiting, but I mean, other than the social media stuff, it's easy to say all the stuff you hear, right? Worry about the little things and don't overlook the little things, the body language, what happens after a good play versus what happens after a bad play. That stuff is just important for the sport. I mean, as a quarterback, like you said, all that stuff is watched. And if you're the leader of the team, they're looking at the good, they're looking at the bad, right? So negative plays, smacking your guys in the butt. Next play, here we go, boom, motivational stuff. All that stuff is recognized. And I think a lot of kids, especially nowadays, that with the social media, I don't think it helps for what's being promoted out there versus what they're seeing versus what's really important is that kind of stuff. Another thing I would say today, and this is more towards lacrosse, but it's both sports. I mean, a lot of kids, they want to go to the big high schools, they want to be on the best travel teams and whatnot. I would say if you're good enough to play, they will find you, but you're no good being behind somebody because you want to have your parents pay all this money. You want to go to this school because it's IMG Academy, but you're never going to get any time. You're playing 1 year, now you're getting no looks. You know what I mean? I would say go to a place where this is high school, college, whatever. Go to a place where you're loved and where you can see yourself best fit. I think that's probably the best thing to get exposed, and it speaks very highly for lacrosse. There's a lot of club teams, and a lot of kids want to go play for the best, but now they don't get any burn. Now they're not getting any looks. But if you're good enough, they'll find you. So there's a lot to the pieces, but I think those are the main couple things.
Man, X, you said a mouthful right there because you touched on a lot of things that Scott and I talk about. Control what you can control. Compete your tail off. Schools don't make you. You make the school. Go where you're wanted and survive where you fit. And your journey has been incredible. From being an undersized player, 5'9", and playing quarterback in a big-time school. So if you can just speak on just some of your obstacles that you had to overcome just because of your size, but also touch on if you did or attended any camps, the must, wills, and have-tos when you show up to camps.
Yeah, I think especially being from Long Island, New York, you're already at a disadvantage. And then you want to put 5'9", $170 on top of that. That's not helping at all. So there was definitely obstacles there. I felt I was good enough. My tape showed I was good enough, but no one paid any respect to it because of the people we were playing against. That was the first obstacle. I didn't go to any huge camps, but I remember going to a couple Penn State prospect camps. That was the only really specific school camp I went to that I vividly remember. And I was a quarterback, and I remember, okay, how can I went to a Florida camp, Gators down at UF. But I remember, so it's a funny story, actually. So I went to UF camp. It was the first camp I ever went to. And I was like, I'm a quarterback, so I'm going to go with the quarterbacks. And, these kids were, 6'2", 6 foot. I was young, and I'm out there, trying to sling it around. And it's just like, it was after that camp where my dad said, all right, you're a quarterback, but you're an athlete. And what's the best way we can showcase what you're good at? So from every camp I went on after that, I went in as a running back or a slot receiver where I could show my feet and my quickness and my agility and where I could be good at. And it was just tough. I remember going to a Penn State camp. I remember them, clocking our 40s. I might have been 9th, 10th. I think it was probably like 10th grade. I clocked in like 4.51 hand time or something good. And if you if you clocked in at a certain time underneath, Coach Franklin would come and he'd time you himself. So I came and I matched it 4.51, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting an offer today. Like I'm getting an offer today. Killed it at the camp. Made some guys miss in the little running back versus linebacker, one-on-one section. And I remember one of the coaches pulled me off and saying, we got you highlighted right here, my man. Blah, 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 blah. We got you on our list. So just keep waiting, keep contact. I was like, let's go. Boom. Never heard back from him. Never heard from him since. So it was just, it's difficult obstacle wise. I mean, just being so short and under recruited, having to deal with that, because then you start thinking, man, it's not me. Is it me? Am I not good enough? What am I not doing, that these other guys can do? But that goes back to just controlling the controllables. I still work the same. I still grind the same. And I'm thankful to, God, the man above. And he put me in a situation where he knew I'd best be successful. And that was here. So, I mean, I could talk for days and run back and forth in the circles, but, that's pretty much the gist of it.